Okay, here's an interesting one for you. Saturn or Kronos or Father Time. So the Olympian gods defeated the Titans. Saturn or Kronos being the chief of the Titans. There's even a moon around Saturn called Titan connected to that. But Chronos, as in chronometer or chronology, and this origin of the word being connected to time. So Saturn, Chronos, Father Time. Now you'll often see Saturn with the scythe, especially connected to the Virgin and the broken column, broken Corinthian column, and also connected to time there in the more esoteric traditions, but the connections between time, symbolism, well, weights and measures invariably, and Saturn and the Reaper and Father Time. So Saturn, Kronos, and connected to Earth, how does that join with time? Well, the polar diameter of Saturn is 108,700 kilometers, give or take, us, because it's a gas element, but let's stick with because it still works even use 108,700 kilometers is the polar diameter of Saturn. The orbital speed of the Earth per hour is 108,700 kilometers. On average, 108,000 kilometers an hour, but towards its top speed, it goes to about 110,000 kilometers an hour. So the speed varies throughout the elliptical orbit, but at a certain point through the year, the Earth will be orbiting the Sun at 108,700 kilometers an hour. So in one way, the hour is defined by the polar diameter of Saturn. That's the Earth's speed. It's also nice to note that the diameter of the rings is 300,000 kilometers, which is speed of light per second. Also worth noting the hexagonal pole. So I could have inserted the seed of life and the Vesica geometry in there, which is a nice connection, but let's look further. So, okay, the polar diameter of Saturn is basically the speed of the Earth, the way it travels around the Sun per hour, Saturn-Chronos. The speed of light per second is the diameter of the rings, and then we have the hexagonal pole, and a hexagon in sacred geometry emerges from the Vesica. So that's 120 degrees on the interior or 240 degrees on the outside. So 240 degrees times 6, because there are 6 out, that means the outside angle of a hexagon is 1440 degrees, and there are 1440 minutes per day, which is a nice connection as well, because 1440 degrees is 86,400 minutes of the compass. So each degree is broken down into 60 minutes, and then into each minute is then broken down into 60 seconds. We use decimals now. This was the origin of it. So 1440 minutes per day, 1440 degrees on the hexagon. That hexagonal angle is 86,400 minutes of the compass, which is the number of seconds per day. Now the Vesica as well, if you look at 240, that also brings you to 864, because that is 86. So 240 degrees is 864,000 seconds of the compass. So 240 degrees equals 86,400 degrees. Now that will come back in nicely. So 86,400 seconds per day. Same number of minutes in the 1440 degrees of a hexagon. Father Time, Saturn, Chronos. And the orbital speed of Saturn around the Sun is 864,000 kilometers per day. Well, there are 864,000 seconds in a 240 degrees as well, which is a nice link. So Saturn being the timekeeper. What's another timekeeper? It's also worth noting, so 86,400 seconds per day, 864,000 kilometers per day, orbital speed of Saturn. Saturn is 10 times the distance from the Sun than what is the Earth. Earth is 1 AU, astronomical unit, and Saturn is 10. So that's a nice link. But another timekeeping object in the sky is the Moon, and that travels at 86,400 kilometers per day, 86,400 seconds per day. The meter, the pendulum, the second, all joins up as well. So it's Saturn, Chronos, Father Time, and these proportions that are built into the geometry and the systems, ancient systems of measure, and just so happen nicely to connect to, well, the heavenly bodies as well. So it was just a nice connection there. I posted this a while ago. I included some video in that, my own video, and somehow it got blocked in some country, so I'm just going to redo a short one just in this one. But Saturn, Father Time, Chronos, these esoteric symbols and connections to time and Saturn, and just so happens that the universe itself has chosen to bring these things together, including the speed of light per second, the speed of the Earth per hour. The angle in the hexagon gives us all these lovely numbers, which also depict the units of time. And so the meter pendulum is 1 second. The pendulums, meters, seconds, and grow old along with me. The best is yet to be. So Father Time, and just this symphony of the way these particular units and angles work. Now, it's worth noting that Saturn is tilted at 27.3 degrees. So there's another connection. Series of connections to so much other proportions that are built into the solar system, especially. Even if you take out so-called arbitrary weights and measures, these same things emerge in the proportions and the same numbers as well. So, for instance, 108 times the diameter of the moon is the distance from the Earth to the moon. 108 times the diameter of the Earth is the distance from the Earth to the Sun. 108 times the diameter of the Earth is the diameter of the Sun. 108 times the diameter of the Sun is the distance from the Sun to the Earth. Well, because Saturn is 10 times that distance as well, it works nicely in that way. So these are proportions built in, and it just so happens that these ancient people just happen to choose weights and measure systems, 360-degree compass, everything that goes with this. And it just all comes back in together to, this symphony of ancient coincidence, just all blends and bleeds in to one another. So if you learn a small set of numbers, you basically learn so much. And unfortunately, this isn't the education system. The establishment doesn't like this. When you talk about harmonies in Sun, Earth, Moon, and the planets, it's basically taboo. Don't say this. It's everything's random. We like a long string of decimal numbers that it's hard to remember, and it's all very sciencey. But well, there it is. So Saturn, Chronos, Sun, Earth, Moon, and so much else. Because Jupiter, the circumference of Jupiter, diameter of Jupiter is 864,000 miles. Is pretty much the mean diameter of Jupiter. The mean diameter of the Sun is 864,000 miles. So it just all and you can extend it, and it's just there. It is, it's all in there. It's just symphony of coincidence with ancient units, weights, and measures, including the allegedly modern foot and the allegedly modern meter. There it is. Have a good one.